So everybody knows you're supposed to store your cigars in like a cabinet style humidor or desktop or Tupperware, something that you can maintain humidity and temperature with. We want to know what happens when you store it in the worst environment possible. Like this one. Now believe it or not, this is not a humidor on wheels as much as I'd like it to be. But I am in here a lot, going to shops and traveling and trade shows and all that kind of fun stuff. And not always do the cigars make it out of here and back into a humidor. So let me see, I know I got something sitting around here. There we go. I got a 7.62 Field Minuteman. This will be perfect for this trick. This probably been in here for 6 months or so at least. And it's 100 degrees out here every day in the summertime. Let's go see how it burns. Okay, so this 7.62 Field Sumatra Minuteman has been in my truck for about 6 months. So today I want to figure out 3 things. Will it burn correctly? Will it have a good draw? And will the flavor be what it's supposed to be? So this guy's really dry. I mean, I can feel it. There's no give. I feel like if I put a little too much pressure on it, the whole thing might just crack. But we're gonna cut it and light it. Let's see how this works. Ooh, a little stale. So the cut was a little dry. Nothing cracked, but I mean, you could feel it squeezing the cutter, and I'm using the Zycar M8. You could hear it on how dry it was. It lit pretty quick, lots of smoke right out the gate. This cigar is one of my favorites. I smoke this every morning with a cup of coffee. Not this size, but this blend. So I'm very familiar with how it tastes. It's crunchy in my teeth. I don't know if you can hear that or not, but that's how dry it is. So the flavor isn't exactly where it's supposed to be. I hate it because it's gonna sound like I'm talking shit, but it almost has like a hint of bitterness to it. And I think it's just because it's been cooking in a truck for 6 months. I'm just trying to get a time so I know when I started smoking this, because I know about how long they last. The draw is still really good. That was not affected. The burn line looks pretty decent. It's not running down one side or tunneling. So construction-wise, it's still holding up. And this thing's just been bouncing around. It wasn't like it was in a Ziploc or a case or anything like that. Essentially, I threw it in the center console of my truck. It was probably in a 5-pack of Minutemen, and I smoked the other 4, and this one fell out. And I threw away the brown paper, and it just lived in there for like 6 months. There is some really nice age on the cello. I believe this is probably from the heat because the cigar isn't that old. I remember I had a veteran hunting trip in the spring. It was one of the last pig hunts we did. And this cigar was from that hunt. And it just never made it out. Okay, so we're about an inch into the cigar. The burn isn't perfect, but it's not horrible. The draw is still good. Construction-wise, I mean, it hasn't fallen apart, it hasn't grenaded, the wrapper hasn't cracked or anything like that. So this is a pretty interesting little experiment. I know personally I've smoked cigars that have just been hanging around in my truck before, but I never really paid attention to them in comparison to how a cigar normally would be able to smoke if it's properly humidified and kept. There's all kinds of stuff that can go wrong by storing cigars in a vehicle. Crazy high temperatures and big fluctuations of humidity. I was kind of expecting the wrapper to pop or crack. I was expecting it to burn really, really fast. We're about 8 minutes in on this guy, and that's about average for how this cigar goes. I was expecting a really big flavor change, and it's kind of like the difference between like a fresh Sprite and like a Sprite that you left open for a week. You can tell that the flavors that are supposed to come out of the cigar are there. They're just not as prominent and pronounced as, a properly stored cigar. Humidity definitely affects that big time with tobacco. I was expecting this to be like a 4.5 minute cigar, but you light it up, you hit it a couple times, and it's like, shoo, and it's all the way down. And the wrapper to kind of just fall apart on it. We are in South Texas. In the summertime, it doesn't get very humid. At the most, it'll get up 60, 70% for an hour in the mornings, and then it gets, you know, somewhere between 20 and 40 or less throughout the day. We've had some pretty dry weather lately. So in the past, it's been, you know, outside it's been mid 90s. In that truck, it's probably got to be 130, 140. It reminds me of smoking cigars in Vegas after the trade shows. You know, we're out there for whatever, 5 or 6 days. You know, the cigars are not humidified on the show floor, you know, and it's Vegas, so it's like negative 20% humidity. And just it sucks the moisture out of everything. You know, your lips crack, your hands are dry, the cigars are, you know, brittle. And so it's kind of hard when somebody's like, hey, try this. This is a really great cigar. And you're like, how about I'm going to bring it home and I'm going to sit on it in my humidor for 2 months so I can let it get to what it's supposed to be because it's so dry right now. I feel like this reminds me of that. You know, the biggest difference is in the truck, you have that addition of, you know, crazy heat ranges. In the night, it could be down in, you know, 70, and during the day, it could be 130, 150. I don't even know how hot it gets in a truck. Thankfully, it's a piece of information I hope I never find out. There is a couple little spots on the wrapper. There's a little spot right there on the wrapper that has like a little kind of a crack. There's a little spot back here. But other than that, everything else looks pretty good on this. That might have been, I dropped something else, you know, my lighter or cutter, and it hit it on the way down in the truck. Might not have been a full crack, but it might have damaged that wrapper leaf. And then, you know, through the process of the heat and humidity and all that, it could have, you know, opened up. Or now that I'm smoking through it, it could open up now too. But that burn line is still looking pretty decent. It's not perfect, but you know, for 6 months in the truck with no humidity and no temperature control, I'm happy with it. Got a nice little ash hanging on there. Was hanging on there. Let's see if I can get this band off without doing anything. There we go. Actually worked out really easy. There's no damage under the band that I can see. Just those 2 little spots I talked about earlier. Everything looks pretty decent. The coffee in this cigar still works. It's just, I would prefer one out of that humidor right there. It's not bad. It's just, I might have to do this with a cigar that isn't one of my favorites, because in my brain, I'm expecting a certain flavor profile, and it's like, just not quite there. It's very close, but I can tell that it's really dry and that it hasn't been sitting in a humidor like it's supposed to. So we're getting into the final third now. Burn line's still not horrible, just a little wonky. I haven't had to do a single touch up. I have not ashed this cigar. It ashed on its own right there. You guys saw that earlier. This one's on there pretty good right now, so I don't think it's gonna go anywhere for a minute. But I'm gonna keep going until it either gets not tasting good anymore because it's just a little nub, or I kind of burned my fingers. But so far we're sitting at right about 25 minutes of burn time. I'm not smoking it any faster or slower than I'd normally smoke a cigar. So for these Minutemen, you're looking right that 30, 40 minute mark. You know, sometimes 25 minutes if you're a fast smoker. I would say that even though it's been sitting in a truck for 6 months, it's not burning any faster than a cigar that would be coming out of a humidor, which is kind of surprising to me. I still feel like if I put too much pressure on it, it might crack. I think from putting it in my mouth, it's not as cracky under my teeth anymore, because I don't even know if cracky is a word. We got one little spot right here that it looks like it was a little crack that's starting to open up. Once again, I probably dropped something on this in my truck. So, you know, I did inspect it prior to smoking. I didn't see any visible damage on the cigar. I did look underneath the band when I pulled the band off. There's no tobacco stuck on the inside of the band. Underneath it on the wrapper itself, there wasn't any damage that was done. Still good smoke output, still good draw. Oop, I think that ash is about to fall. Maybe not. You can see it's kind of whoop. I've always said for years, the best place to ash is in your lap. It's really not, because it usually puts little tiny burn holes in your shirt or in your shorts or pants or whatever you're wearing. But what that means is you're not overly playing with your cigar. There's a lot of guys that they'll tap their finger on it like that, and that's kind of a habit from smoking cigarettes. Every time you do that, you have a chance of damaging that wrapper. and then as you smoke to where you tapped it, it could crack or open up or do something. The best way to ash your cigar is you just lightly roll it against the edge of the ashtray and that ash will fall off. If it doesn't, it's not ready to ash yet. And when I said it, the best place is in your lap. When that ash falls, that cigar is telling you it's ready to ash. So you never want to force it. It's all about consent. The cigar needs to make sure it's okay with you. Well, guys, we're getting to the end. Not so much the end of the cigar. I could grab some kind of a nub tool or something like that and keep going. But we're getting to the end because I still care about my mustache. And I can feel the heat starting to come up, on that burn line. I really don't want to light any hairs on fire today. So to circle back on the three things that I was going to try to focus on today, construction. I mean, it held an ash, it burned well, it did not tunnel, it didn't run down a side or canoe or anything like that. So I don't believe construction was affected by it in those regards. Obviously, leaving a cigar in a non-humidified, non-temperature controlled area, it does things to it. It's a natural organic leaf. Temperature and humidity play a huge role in how it affects these things. Burn. It wasn't a perfect burn line, but it was pretty decent. I didn't have to touch it up. I didn't have to relight. We're sitting at 31 minutes in burn time from when I lit it until right now. Flavor-wise, it's there. I mean, there isn't anything that's new that's jumping out of this cigar that I haven't experienced before by smoking this. What's supposed to come out of the cigar is there. It's just not as full. I don't even know if that's the right word for it. Prominent, maybe. Like it's more subtle and not as smooth. I think that's probably the best way to explain it. It's just dry. Like I can feel that it's dry. Well, that's about it, guys. I don't snuff out my cigars. I just set them down and let them do its own. They'll eventually, within 30 seconds or a minute, there'll be no more smoke coming out. If you snuff it out, it actually introduces more oxygen into there, and you get a lot more smoke before it goes out. But thank you guys for tuning in. I know this is a little bit longer than what we normally do and a little bit kind of off topic than a lot of the other stuff. But we've kind of had this question for a while. The answer is yes and no. It does affect the cigar. It affects it big time. Is it not smokable? Nope. As you can see, I smoked it pretty good, pretty down there. There are some subtle changes to it. I wouldn't say, hey, go try a science experiment and go buy a cigar and throw it in your truck for 6 months and see what happens. But if you lost a cigar in your vehicle, say you're cleaning it out one day and it's under your seat and you're like, oh man, I don't even know how long this thing's been in here, go smoke it. Or throw it back in the humidor, let it rest for a while, and then smoke it after that. Cigars are very interesting when it comes to that. I've put stuff back in humidors that I thought was like, this cigar's a goner. And I let it rest for 3, 4, 5 months, 6 months, maybe a year, and then pulled it out and smoked it on a random weekend, and it smoked amazing. And its flavor was great and everything like that. There might have been a little damage because I beat it up or something, but that's not gonna stop me from smoking a cigar. If you like that, and you'd like some videos that we're doing like this, go ahead, drop a comment. Let us know some cool stuff that you guys want to see in the future. If you guys have a weird scenario that's happened to you with the cigar and you want us to try it out, I'll take a cigar, try to recreate whatever happened, and sit down like this and smoke it again. Cheers to a 6-month truck cigar. Bye, guys.